Hi everyone! Today we'll be talking about one of my favorite bands, as you may be able to tell by the shirt. We're talking Oasis. Now I've had the pleasure of listening to their discography for the past 2 weeks to come up with the cream of the crop. I'm calling this, Undeniably, the top 10 best Oasis songs. Just to stir things up a little bit, I'll have my pick for an overrated song at the end. But in the meantime, let's get to the top 10. At number 10, we have Morning Glory from What's the Story? Morning Glory. Oasis started in 1993 when Liam Gallagher formed the group with Paul Bonehead Arthurs on rhythm guitar, Tony Carroll on drums, and Paul Gwiggs McGuigan on bass. Liam's brother Noel was touring with another band as the drum technician, but ended up fired for being unprofessional and hard to approach. When Noel saw Oasis play live, he was impressed, and surprised that Liam sang well, as Liam had antagonized him for playing guitar for years. Liam talked Noel into jamming and playing some of his songs. Noel loved hearing a full band play the song so much he would join and pretty much become the de facto leader. In 1993, they had only played their native Manchester and got invited by a band of friends to play Glasgow. When they got there, the club owners refused to let them on, but their friends, a group called Sister Lovers, agreed to play a shorter set. As fate would have it, the head of Creation Records, Alan McGee, was at the club. After a rowdy set, Alan was psyched and offered them a record deal backstage. While they were almost instantly superstars in the UK, it would take a bit to break into the US. The singles from Definitely Maybe would do modestly in America, and the first singles from What's the Story, Roll With It, and Some Might Stay stiffed on the US charts. The sort of title track, Morning Glory, would be their first song to break through. The song Morning Glory is about not wanting to crawl out of bed, but getting up begrudgingly to get to the grind. It starts dramatically, with helicopter propellers whirring, before the vicious cutting riff arrives and the band launches into a heavy, upbeat rhythm. Noel would say the title of the album came from an expression an American girl said to him that he just found confusing. He felt that he was the most in the zone lyrically at the time, and using the expression as the chorus sounds like some sort of counterculture greeting. Well, what's the story, Morning Glory? Morning Glory is a thundering wake-up call that finally got the American charts properly lit up. At number 9, we have Rock and Roll Star from Definitely Maybe. Because Oasis was signed as a green band, the lack of live performances made recording their debut album take a while. The band first started sessions in Mono Valley. McGee didn't like the recordings and said it didn't sound as powerful as their live show. The group decided to scrap all previous work, change locations, and have Mark Coyle, who ran the group's live show, see if he could recreate the magic in the studio. The new sessions went smoother, with the whole band in one room together with no headphones. Coyle didn't think he could properly mix, so Owen Morris was called in to produce the new recordings. Shortly thereafter, Definitely Maybe was finally complete. It would be the fastest selling UK debut. After a sold out UK tour, they went to Japan, where crazy crowds with women following the group around made them feel like true rock stars. The lads would earn a hooligan reputation, destroying hotel rooms and getting deported from Holland after getting in a drunken fistfight on a gambling casino ferry on its way to Amsterdam. Rock and Roll Star is 100% attitude, kicking off their debut in a brash, passionate screed about getting the hell out of town and conquering the world. Full of fury, it's garage rock on the edge. Still so young, there was no pressure on the group. They were writing songs that would sound great at a rock club, and the song is really meant to get the crowd thrashing. Liam is barely above 20 years old and commands the song. His voice is bold and sneering, and gives us our first of many, one syllable drawn out to several, sunshine, that would become his trademark. Rock and Roll Star is a party starter, where the band put their dreams into the lyrics and by sheer determination made them a reality. At number 8, we have Stand By Me from Be Here Now. Watching Supersonic, the excellent Oasis documentary, it became quite clear how big of an impact the Gallagher's mother, Peggy, had on the brothers. Their father was physically abusive toward both her and Noel. Peggy eventually left one night with the 3 Gallagher brothers and raised them alone, while working multiple jobs. Liam and Noel were both hellraisers, but they have great appreciation and affection for their mother. And her sense of humor and generosity in the film really shed some light on their upbringing. The poor working class life in Manchester really shaped them. During recording Be Here Now, Noel said his mother would call to check on him and ask if he was eating well. This spurred Noel to cook himself a proper Sunday dinner, which resulted in food poisoning himself. He spent 2 days in bed writing Stand By Me. He cheekily blamed his mother, remarking, "Back to pot noodles for me." It takes a lot of hubris to title a song the exact same as an already famous song, but Stand By Me was so solid that it was still a hit regardless. It's a moving ballad with simple lyrics, asking a loved one to stick with them during uncertain times. The chorus aims for your heartstrings. Stand by me, nobody knows the way it's gonna be. All while ringing guitars play open chords in an uplifting major key with sweeping, triumphant orchestration accenting the melody. Stand By Me is a stirring, epic anthem from a band that made a career of making them. At number 7, we have Supersonic from Definitely Maybe. Oasis shipped up to the Pink Museum studio in Liverpool to work on their first single. It was originally supposed to be Bring It On Down, a faster, punkier song, but Tony Carroll couldn't get the drums right. Noel decided to write a song based off a guitar riff the group had been jamming on. While the rest of the band ate Chinese takeaway, Noel banged out the new song, Supersonic, in a half hour. Oasis would learn it, record it, and mix it that very day, with Liam recording his vocals in one single take. While the majority of Definitely Maybe was remixed by Owen Morris, Supersonic was untouched. That day, the group hit on something powerful. Supersonic starts off with a slightly too slow tempo that almost feels underwater. Somehow the song is ramshackle, but together. Noel would say he didn't take very long to write lyrics those days, and they definitely seem slapdash at parts, filled with yellow submarines and Alka-Seltzer. However, it has an inflated sense of self-confidence. I need to be myself. I can't be no one else. That fits the Devil May Care swagger. Frankly, who cares about the words if it sounds this cool? On the first single, Liam is already a full-blown rock god, snarling during the verses and softly singing on the chorus. The guitars are dirty, but the Beatle harmonies add a lightness to the grunge. Oasis would play Supersonic on their first TV appearance in 1994, and in short order, they were fresh-faced national heroes. Supersonic is the sound of the band kicking in the door of the music industry and putting would-be rock and rollers on notice. At number 6, we have Champagne Supernova from What's the Story, Morning Glory. Oasis would sour on original drummer Tony Carroll, and he would be replaced by Alan White during sessions for their second album. With huge homeside success, they went up to Rockfield Studios in Wales, where Queen had created Bohemian Rhapsody. The first week, they recorded a song per day. Noel recalled it took only about 12 working days to finish What's the Story, Morning Glory, remarking because of the band's youth, you didn't second guess it. The sessions were mostly laid back, with football on TV and daily tea time. Though in typical Oasis style, there was a night where Liam invited random mates back to the studio, and somehow things escalated to him using a fire extinguisher and smashing Noel's guitar, with Noel retaliating by hitting Liam upside the head with a cricket bat. The studio got busted up, and the brothers called it their worst fight ever, but they still got back together days later and finished tracking the LP that would become the biggest selling in UK history. On Champagne Supernova, Noel would say that he went into the studio with the song unfinished. He had no idea how it would end, and followed his instinct. Thinking it was missing something, he would coerce the frontman of The Jam, Paul Weller, into singing backup and adding a ripping guitar solo at the end that really brings it on home. Champagne Supernova is a swirling, slow, but sure-handed pseudo-psychedelic burner. Noel claimed in 2005 to still not know what the song was about, but the words are vague enough to hint at a deeper meaning. How many special people change? How many lives are living strange? Where were you while we were getting high? Lightly strummed acoustic and low rumbling harmonium lay a bed for one of Liam's best vocal performances that goes from soft and caring to soaring and defiant. The melodic dueling guitar solos crash majestically, and when played live, they would add an extra 5 minutes of soloing to an already long-winded track, but the groove feels endless and leaves the audience wanting more. Champagne Supernova is a sprawling 6-string odyssey that closes out What's the Story, Morning Glory in a cosmic, captivating conclusion. At number 5, we have Do You Know What I Mean from Be Here Now. After Oasis played for 500,000 people at Nebley Castle in 1996, Noel confessed that the band should have quit following the gig, but decided on riding it until the wheels fall off. The band was never quite the same. Following Be Here Now, no songs from any future albums make the list. The LPs after have some enjoyable tunes, weighed down by some real duds. Cycling through new bandmates and the continued turmoil between the Gallagher brothers did not seem to help the creative process. In a perfect Liam statement, he referred to Oasis as a Ferrari. Great to look at, great to drive, but will spin out of control every now and then if you go too fast. Be Here Now sounds like the band going way too fast, or taking too many drugs, or both. It was written mainly while Noel was on a holiday with Mick Jagger, Kate Moss, and Johnny Depp, which didn't exactly sound like him putting in the effort. Noel had just written classics for Morning Glory, so some hooks were still there, but oftentimes they are underbaked. The opener, Do You Know What I Mean, is a great jam, though admittedly it's a bit overlong. Noel apparently expected someone to ask them to trim the song's intro down, but practically at the status of kings at the time, no one dared to question them, and played the track as is, spilling over 7 minutes. The length suggests an epic along the lines of Champagne Supernova, but the song is a thundering, upbeat rocker. The words were meant as ambiguous, but somehow they do sound full of spirit, calling people together. All my people right here, right now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. The guitars clatter ferociously, and the bass and drums are a wall of rhythm, further complemented by a trembling string section. The band sounds mythic, primed for stadium. Do You Know What I Mean is larger-than-life arena rock, familiar to millions and made to get the people going. At number 4, we have Acquiesce from The Master Plan. While on their first major US tour, at a stop in LA, Oasis started doing meth, thinking it was cocaine. The band couldn't sleep afterwards and had a legendary train wreck show at Whiskey A Go Go, where Liam threw a tambourine at Noel and then proceeded to do lines off the guitar amps on stage. Very angry afterwards, Noel left the group without notice. He said he wanted to disappear and flew to San Francisco to cool his head. A few weeks later, he came back to the band as if nothing happened, and with a batch of new songs. During the time, he wrote the song Talk Tonight, and his bandmates noted something in his writing had changed, as if he had discovered a new gear. Talk Tonight is a lovely, wistful folk song, sung by Noel, bafflingly released as a B-side to Some Might Say. In 1998, following Be Here Now, the band asked fans to vote on the B-sides and rarities that would be compiled on a new collection. The Master Plan is like some alternate reality third album from the group, filled with some songs so phenomenal, it's hard to imagine why they didn't hold them for a proper full length. Half the World Away is a tender breakup song with some touching lyrics. Fade Away is a propulsive rocker about growing up, and the title track is one of Noel's most ambitious songs, with an orchestral cinematic sweep. They all deserved more than to be slapped on the B-side of history. Acquiesce was a dynamic fan favorite, somehow also a B-side to Some Might Say. The verses have a scuzzy, bluesy shuffle, with Liam singing, which turns into a soaring chorus warmly sung by Noel. Noel would pointedly say the song is not about his relationship with his brother. Because we need each other, we believe in one another. Saying it was a song about friendship, and adding that Liam couldn't reach the high notes. A little touchy, that Noel. Acquiesce is a big-hearted anthem that should have been one of Oasis' biggest hits. Instead, it was a diamond meant for the diehards. At number 3, we have Wonderwall from What's the Story? Morning Glory. From the very start, there was always a power struggle between the Gallagher brothers that made it more than simple sibling rivalry. Liam started the group, but Noel wrote the songs, so each had claimed to be the main cog. There were times during gigs that Liam would just walk off the stage, so needing to fill time, Noel would step in for the rest of the show. Noel didn't fancy himself a singer, but after stepping in enough, he started to believe. When Noel wrote Wonderwall, he began to play the song solo, acoustically, which caused further tension between the brothers. Pandora's box had already been opened though. Noel would subsequently sing lead on more of his tunes. Liam would record the lead vocals on Wonderwall after Noel offered him to sing lead either on it or on Don't Look Back in anger. Wonderwall truly made Oasis worldwide superstars. It is a yearning, swirling acoustic ditty with minimal drumming and swelling cello that builds into epic proportions. Owen Morris produced the song in half of a day and used a technique now known as brick walling, which pushed the instruments into the red while mixing. nearly distorting the recordings while making the song gigantic. The title was lifted from the George Harrison soundtrack of the same name, and its title doesn't really mean too much. Noel described it as an imaginary friend who's gonna come and save you from yourself. Its simple strumming and plaintive vocals from Liam combined to make it an open mic mainstay. A song that could be reinterpreted 1,000 ways and still have this longing desire with a sing-along chorus. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall. The lyrics are half nonsense, but the feeling is unshakable. Oasis had previously been known as the Raucous Rioters, but Wonderwall showed their soft underbelly, with chiming acoustic guitars and a brilliant, bittersweet melody. At number 2, we have Live Forever from Definitely Maybe. Noel Gallagher began working on Live Forever way back in 1991 while working for a building company. There was an accident where a pipe landed on his foot, so he was taken from the hard labor grind to the less stressful environment of the storeroom. Being less involved helped him to focus more on writing songs. One day he would be inspired by a part in the Rolling Stones song Shine a Light, lifting a melody from one of the lines and using the words maybe, I don't really want to know. It would take him a few years to complete. When he first brought it to the group, he played it acoustically for Bonehead, who thought Noel was yanking his chain, telling him there's no way you wrote that. Part of the allure of Oasis during the 90s was they tapped into this positive vibe of the era, and Live Forever was their first top 10 hit. It's an optimistic ode to pushing forward. Noel referred to it as the anti-Cobain. Nirvana had a song called I Hate Myself and Want to Die, and while Noel was a fan of their music, he thought the message was dreary. Live Forever starts with a simple drum shuffle, when those big power chords come in and Liam's voice shines brightly. The lyrics of the chorus acknowledge hardships but become hopeful as the narrator realizes he's not alone. I think you're the same as me. We've seen things they'll never see. You and I are gonna live forever. Live Forever was the aspirational mantra and the start of Oasis becoming the biggest band in the UK since the Beatles. With a blend of jangly guitar, catchy hooks, and major key melodicism, the song aims for eternity and succeeds. At number 1, we have Don't Look Back in Anger from What's the Story, Morning Glory. Out of the top 10, this is the only one with Noel taking on lead vocals. Don't Look Back in Anger was the first single from Oasis where he did that. It would become such a sensation that sometimes during concerts he didn't sing much at all. Noel encouraged the crowd to sing the chorus as he strummed the guitar silently. In several big shows, he didn't even sing the verses, allowing the crowd to sing the entire song while the band backed them up. With the crowd belting out Don't Look Back in Anger in unison, it feels magical. Following the Manchester bombings, a gathering crowd would even spontaneously break into the song from the hometown heroes in a moment of solidarity over the grief, which really speaks to the healing camaraderie that music brings us. Noel was never shy about reinterpreting his influences, and the song starts by borrowing the intro chords to Imagine, before shimmering guitars coalesce and Alan White's big drum kit kicks in. His Lennon fascination also appears in The Brains That I Had Went to My Headline, nicked from an interview with the legend. Noel's voice has never sounded stronger. While he tends to have a more delicate voice than Liam's mighty baritone, here he is projecting to the nosebleed section. The elongated whole notes of the chorus clearly made for the crowd to join in. Her soul slides away, but don't look back in anger, I heard you say. Despite it being a pensive ballad, the guitar solos are Zeppelin-sized and perfectly composed, halfway up the stairway to heaven, along with clamoring Keith Moon drum fills that build tremendous momentum and powerful drama. Don't Look Back in Anger is a roaring, melancholy anthem that breaks the rose-tinted glass of nostalgia and offers an uplifting, intoxicating belief in brighter days ahead. The song is transcendent and timeless, and the band at their very best. And now, I'll add 2 more songs that almost made the list. The first near miss would be Whatever. Released as a stopgap single between Definitely Maybe and What's the Story Morning Glory, Whatever is a pitch-perfect vibe check of the cool Britannia 90s. It's an anthem of freedom in a laissez-faire way, with its soft acoustic strumming, along with a humming orchestral by the London Session Orchestra. Liam croons that we're all free to be whatever you say, if it comes my way, I'm alright. There's a sudden freak-out key change on the bridge before returning to the main progression. The instruments slowly fade out, one by one, until only the strings are playing the sanguine, pretty melody. Whatever is a sublime piece of feel-good pop music. The other to nearly make the list is She's Electric. I wouldn't be surprised if a majority of fans would mainly pick their top 10 from the first two LPs. The band burst out of the gate brilliantly. Both records stand the test of time. She's Electric was originally bumped off Definitely Maybe in favor of adding Digsy's Dinner. Noel thought that they were somewhat similar in their upbeat pop. It would be reworked on What's the Story, and it's their most jubilant track, full of sunshine and silly rhymes. She's Electric was even played enough in the UK to be certified platinum, even though it was never issued as a single. Fans agreed. It's a toe-tapping sprite that will put some bounce into your step. She's Electric deserves to be mentioned among their best. Finally, let's talk about what I consider to be the most overrated song by Oasis, and that is All Around the World. There isn't a better example of the bloated excess of Be Here Now than this. It's the group's longest, sprawling over 9 minutes long, and man, does it feel like it. All Around the World was actually one of the first songs ever written by Noel. You could even see them playing it in an old video recording. Noel called it one of the best songs he had ever written, and was waiting until they could blow the budget on the extravagant arrangement, saying that one orchestra wouldn't even do it justice. It needed 2. He further went on to brag that the song has 3 key changes, pontificating, "Imagine how much better Hey Jude would have been with 3 key changes toward the end." I have to stop you there, Noel. It wouldn't have made Hey Jude any better. Maybe longer, but not better. As you would imagine, with it being nearly 10 minutes long, it gets repetitive quite quickly. The All Around the World, Gotta Spread the Word refrain is repeated 12 times in the song alone. Noel wasn't exactly Bob Dylan, but the lyrics are even weaker than usual, with eye-rolling forced rhymes in the verse that don't really even go with the peace sign theme, almost like placeholders that no one bothered to revise. You could layer all the grand orchestral arrangements you'd like. If the song is boring, it will clearly show. Tacking on key changes and la-la-las can't save this overproduced Hindenburg from going up in flames. It's a sight to behold, and on some level you almost have to admire the band for having the audacity to release All Around the World as a 10-minute single. But outside the silly 90s alternative Yellow Submarine music video, I don't see a whole lot to love about this overlong spectacle. For me, it's definitely overrated. As you're still watching, I wanted to share a deep cut as well. For that, I'm shining a light on Do You Want to Be a Spaceman? I'm not exactly sure how the voting worked for compiling the master plan, but somehow Do You Want to Be a Spaceman did not make the cut. The song was included as a B-side to Shaker Maker. It's a bare acoustic ditty sung by Noel, with no accompaniment other than his guitar and some lovely harmony vocals from Liam, sounding so naked it could have been recorded in his bedroom. Do You Want to Be a Spaceman is a syrupy fond recollection of young dreams, over a bouncy acoustic strum that deserves a little bit more love. If you haven't checked it out, you should add it to your playlist. So there you have it. That was undeniably the top 10 best Oasis songs. So, how wrong was I? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your top 3? Do you think All Around the World is one of their best songs? Let me know. And if there's any artists you'd like to see me rank, let me know in the comments below. Hope you stick around, and thank you for watching. When Noel saw Oasis play, Heller's were, and by sheer determination, but they still got to get. Well, oh jeez. What? Okay.